This is a second follow-up to the follow-up on grab instancers. This one is specifically about dynamic variables and how to use them to spread your new template to more than just that one grab instancer. For example, let's say you have in your world, a rather large world, and you have multiple grab instancers, and they're all supposed to be giving you the exact same thing. Now, you could use the flux methods that I showed you and just change those out one by one, or there's actually a better way of doing this. So come on. We'll go back over here to our little instancer, and what we'll actually do is we'll delete the Ryubi snapping ProtoFlux tool from here in preparation to actually put this in my folder. We'll also delete it from here because currently that is still unreleased as of this time. And then we'll actually make use of this flux somewhere else. So what we'll do is we'll first make a new parent here, and we'll name this parent simply instancers. Now, for dynamic variables, we will then ideally need in here a data dynamic variable space. And we could then give this here a name, like, for example, instancers. However, there is, in fact, on every single world, unless it was modified, by default, a dynamic variable space on the actual world that you can use instead. And this space is simply called world. Now, the way we use this is we simply get rid of the dynamic variable space because it already exists on the root of the world. And instead, we simply now here make a new data dynamic reference. Or actually, let's use a dynamic reference variable. Now, the difference between reference and reference variable is that one has a field attached and one does not. To quickly show you what that means, I'll actually generate a dynamic reference and then also generate a dynamic reference variable. The value variants of this work the exact same way. They have those two variants. Now here, with the dynamic reference, it actually needs a reference. So for example, we could grab the parent here, and then the parent would be what it is referencing. So if we were to update this variable, it would change this slot specifically, for example. Now, down here, however, we can actually change it a lot better because we can first give this a name. So we'll call this world / tool. And we'll actually call this flux tool specifically. And instance. So now we have a variable that's called world / flux tool instance. Next, we'll have to modify our code here so that this actually updates based on what is in this slot here, this template slot here. However, before we do that, we actually grab our template slot and we move it outside of our instancer and we reset its position. Then we go back to the instancers here, make a new drive, slot this into here instead. And now, instead of updating the template here on the grab instancer, where is it? There. Instead of updating this here, it's now going to update on instancers the slot reference here. Now what we're going to do is we're gonna make a new slot here and call this simply code dash get template, because it simply fetches the specific template. Next, we select this code, grab the code get template here, and pack it. Now, what you might be wondering is, well, it doesn't update anymore now because it's no longer driven. So if I was to, for example, again in here, change the order offset and make this number 0, so it's at the beginning, it would actually still give me the Flux tool because now it's no longer driving the grab instancer. And here's where the neat part comes in. We simply go to template here. Not template, we go to outline here. Let's actually give this a neater name. Let's just call this instancer and dash flux, because it's specifically going to be for only flux tips. The dev tool is not going to be in there. So instead, we're going to have to set this back to number, let's set this to 2, and grab the dev tool and slot it actually into the instancer for flux so that we can see that a change occurs. So now it has currently the wrong tip attached. And the way we fix this, we simply go to the bottom of it, click attach component, and we need a data dynamic reference variable driver. And we again want one of type slot. And once we have that, we can simply go to instancers, grab world/flux tool instance, go into here, put this into a variable name, and then go up to the instancer here, grab template, and slot it into the target here. We could even define that it directly uses this specific UProtoFlux tool if it cannot find this variable. Now, the neat thing is that the way dynamic variables work is that access to them is granted as long as you're beneath the hierarchy. You can easily find out whether your world does correctly have one by simply going to a new slot underneath root, going to attach component, data, dynamic, and you do dynamic variable status, and we are using slot. And in here, we then simply grab our variable name, which is here, slot it in here, and it'll tell us that there is a variable that is called this, and there is a correct space. So root must have that space somewhere on that gigantic list of things. Sorry that I couldn't show you it, but it seems to have moved and generated a bit differently now. It used to just generate at the bottom. All right, so the neat part about that is that we can now actually just go and duplicate one of these, grab it, and move this all the way over here. And after doing so, if we go to Gizmo Options, Rotation, and rotate this into place nicely, and deselect, and we grab, we'll actually get a flux tip. Yay! And now, if we were to over here actually update the first entry, so we again do the incorrect thing and make this 0, we grab here, we'll get a dev tip, and over here, where we have our dynamic variable templates, we'll also get a dev tip now. Obviously, that's not the greatest for the Flux tip maker, but it was a nice quick showcase of it being updating. Now, the great part is that this means that instead of having separate code that updates every single one of these templates, you just have to have one code piece that updates the templates and then the dynamic variable actually does the rest for you by just using world/flux tool instance. I hope that that was understandable enough. I know that dynamic variables can be a bit hard to understand at first, but yeah, I hope this helped, and I hope you have a nice day. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Bye.